Jaya Ramadava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Ramadava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopti Janavallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Ramadava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Ramadava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. The translation? Oh. Sorry. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to class, even if it makes me nervous. So today we'll be starting chapter 16, and we'll be reading verses 1 to 12. And before we start, I want to start with a question, because I think most of us didn't exactly grow up in Krishna consciousness. So I have a question for those that didn't. It's like, what was your perception of God, or if you believed in him before coming into this? Like, was God just this fearful figure, or was he just some energy, or Prema?
I always believed in God as a child, and it was more of a feeling of protection and safety and comfort, and someone that I could talk to before bed at night, and that kind of thing.
I had some kind of inclined spirituality, but the word God for me was always, at some point I thought of it as just something that people use to control other people.
Bruce?
I used to call God universe or divine, and to me God was just omnipresent, omnipotent, and omni-loving.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. Omnipotent. Okay. I'll relate to this coming back, but I wanted to start off with that question. So we can start reading.
Lord Brahma said, after thus congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows.
The personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jai and Vijay by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me.
Oh, great sages, I approve of the punishment that you, who are devoted to me, have meted out to them.
To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen.
A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin.
Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you.
The Lord continued, As I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet has become so sacred that they immediately wipe all the sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her. But while others praise her beauty and observe her sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor.
I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrificers in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths. With the same relish, I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmanas, who've dedicated to me the results of their activities, and who are ever satisfied with my prasad.
I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds, along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same?
The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those who can you help me? Faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin. Look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Maharaja, the superintendent of simple persons.
On the other hand, they captivate my heart who are gladdened in heart and who their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles respect the Brahmans. Even though the Brahmans uh, utter harsh words, they look upon the Brahmans as my own self and pacify them. By praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you.
These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon in the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long.
Then we're going to be reading verse 7. Yatsevaya charna padma pavitarenum. Sadyak Sadyak shata kilamalam pratilapta shilam. Nashir viraktam mam vijahati asya. Preksha lavarta itare niyanam vahanti. Yatsevaya charana padma pavitarenum. Sadyakshata kilamalam pratilabda shilam. Nashir viraktam mam vijahati asya. Preksha lavarta itare niyanam vahanti. Please recite. Yatsevaya charna padma pavitarenum. Sadyak shata kilamalam pratilapta shilam. Nashir viraktam mam vijahati asya. Vikshalavarta itare niyanam vahanti. Yatsevaya charana padma pavitas prenum. Sadyakshata kila malam pratilabda shilam. Nashri viraktam apimam vijahati asya. Vikshalavarta itare niyanam bhavanti. Anyone else? No? Okay. Then we'll go to synonyms all together. Yat, of whom, Sevaya, by the service, Charana, feet, Padma, lotus, Pavrita, sacred, Renu, the dust, Sadhya, immediately, Kashata, wiped out, Akila, all, Malam, sins, Pratilabda, acquired, Shilam, disposition, Na, not, Shri, the goddess of fortune, Viraktam, have no attachment, Api, even though, Mam, me, Vijahati, leave, Yasya, the goddess of fortune, Vriksha Lava Artha, for obtaining a slight favor, Itare, others, like Lord Brahma, Niyanam, sacred vows, Vahanti, observe. And translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, that my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I've acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her and others, praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. The relationship between the Lord and his devotees is transcendently beautiful. As the devotee thinks that it is due to being a devotee of the Lord that he is elevated in all good qualities, so the Lord also thinks that it is because of his devotion to the servitor that all his transcendental glories have increased. In other words, as the devotee is always anxious to render service to the Lord, so the Lord is ever anxious to render service to the devotee. The Lord admits herein that although he certainly has the quality that anyone who receives a slight particle of the dust of his lotus feet becomes at once a great personality, this greatness is due to his affection for his devotee. It is because of this affection that the goddess of fortune does not leave him, and that not only one, but many thousands of goddesses of fortune engage in his service. In the material world, simply to get a little favor from the goddess of fortune, people observe many rigid regulations of austerity and penance. The Lord cannot tolerate any inconvenience on the part of the devotee. He is therefore famous as Bhakta Vatsala. So I guess what I learned from like all of these verses is like how kind Krishna is and how sweet. Like I think yesterday when I was walking to campus, they have like those little like booth table things of like different clubs or stuff. And there was like one table, it's like those like fanatic like Christians or Catholics or something that like say that like Jesus won't like love you if you're this, or this, or it's like very like fear mongering. So it's like I find that like nowadays there's this perception of God as being this terrifying figure or things like that. But it's like we read about how kind and loving Krishna really is and just how much he loves his devotees. Like he's even willing to cut off an arm for an offense that he thinks that he did, because like Jai and Vijay are like his representatives on the doors of Vaikuntha. And because they like not an offense exactly, but they had like it was a misunderstanding with Kumaras. They like didn't allow them to enter into Vaikuntha and to see Krishna or Vishnu. So they indirectly made an offense. And then Krishna, he takes like accountability for that. Like he takes the blame for that offense, and he's willing to, as it said in one of them, to like, he's willing to cut off his own arm. And it's like, I don't know, it's very cool of God to do that, you know? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my servants accidentally mistreated you. I'll just cut off my arm. It's very cool. Like, and it just shows this like very like this is like the true nature of Krishna. He's very sweet, and he'll do anything for us. I think in one of the translations, he says like or no, I think I wrote it down. It's like us loving Krishna gives him so much pleasure, and he gets pleasure when we love him. So it's always a reciprocating relationship between him and his devotees. So in order to please Krishna, we need to please each other, basically. If that makes sense. Yeah. And I guess I can also talk about, I think, like Vaishnav Aparad. So I guess in this pastime, even in the spiritual world, there may not necessarily be like offenses like how we do it here in the material world. It's like it's like spiritual versus material offenses. Whereas in the spiritual world, like this entire like pastime is due to a misunderstanding of Jai and Vijay and the Kumaras. And whereas here, when we make an offense, we have like repercussions. We have to make karma, or like we get karma from doing that. When we offend other devotees, Prabhupada says in one of the purports, when we offend a devotee, it creates a scar on Krishna. So try not to make offenses. But in the spiritual world, when we make an offense, Krishna will immediately like, or not even an offense. It's like, it's very rare to make offenses in the spiritual world. But if it ever happens, Krishna will immediately appear and he will take accountability. He'll try and rectify it. So there's nothing bad really happens, as we see here. And yes. And I think this also shows how much Krishna respects his devotees, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Because in one of them, he says that like the Lord, or the Brahmanas and, which one was it? And the cows are his body, I think. I forget which one. Yeah, the Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. So it shows how much we need to respect Brahmanas and Vaishnavas because they are so dear to Krishna. And even in, I think one of the prayers when we offer prasadam is Om Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hityacha Jagatatya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. So it's offering respect to the Brahmanas who are so dear to Krishna. And yes. Okay. Does anyone have any thoughts or comments so far, Narada?
Yeah, I just curious, what is Bhakta Vatsalya? What's the literal translation and what should we take away from it?
Bhakta Vatsala.
It says it at the end of the book.
I don't know it by heart. Does anyone know the meaning of Bhakta Vatsala?
He's a devotee of his devotee. He pleases. He's always favorably disposed towards his devotees. He reciprocates with his devotees.
So I guess, what was the other part to your question?
Yeah, what should we take from that?
Take from that. I think it shows I think the position of devotees, like I think Prabhupada was also saying how important they are, like Vaishnavas. We are all representatives of God, like how we represent our spiritual masters, and we also represent God Himself. So we need to be like behave in such a way that will please Krishna, because he takes pleasure when we are kind to each other, and when we are kind to ourselves and things like that. So I guess that kind of relates to my question earlier. When we don't represent when God in a certain way or in a kind way, when we represent him in a fearful way, it turns people away from God and it diminishes their faith in him. So it is very important that we are kind to each other and to ourselves, because we represent him and our spiritual master. Yeah, does that help? Okay. Yes.
Does it specify, it says scar, right?
Mhm.
Scar. With opera.
I don't think it was specified. Um,
I can look at it. No, that's what you said,
mhm. But it leaves a scar. It probably didn't say like exactly.
That's what you said. You said.
Oh, that it leaves a scar.
I don't think it's in purpose, but you said it in your notes, so.
This is my follow-up question, because why I asked that was a scar doesn't go away. It stays, it fades. And so you're connecting that to opera. So the Krishna takes the scar and it doesn't go away. So even if we apologize, my question is, so if we apologize for our opera and Krishna takes the scar, does it mean it doesn't ever go away in Krishna's mind?
Not sure. I mean, I think because I don't know, I think that Krishna, like, he understands that we are just these material bodies, and he doesn't necessarily like see all the things that are wrong with us. But I think when we do hurt another devotee, another Vaishnava, it does hurt him, and it does leave, like, it doesn't please him. So I guess maybe not necessarily a scar, but it just does not please Krishna. So not quite sure. Okay.
The recent Back to Godhead has an article on the Kumbh Mela that happened earlier this year. It was a special Kumbh Mela that comes around every 144 years. Anyways, there was something in there I kind of I'm trying to memorize. I don't know if I'll get it right or not. It's a little bit paraphrased. Has to do about what you were mentioning about people being fanatical about religions or whatever it is. Let me see. We're all connected. The whole world is connected as one family, centered around our supreme, well-wishing Father. People will always think differently. Unity and diversity.
Sorry, I'm not very good at giving classes.
You're doing very nice.
Thank you. I don't know what else to keep going on.
No, don't worry. You just moving forward.
Okay. Advaita Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If I may pivot on the point that you said that Krishna is ready to give his own arm as a part of his what companies have like a customer service. So the manager comes in and we're gonna take care of everything. But I'm just thinking, why couldn't, and it's a question to you and to everybody else, why couldn't they, and granted, there was a Leela that needed to take place, but what can we take away from that whole exchange and the fact that they couldn't settle with some kind of agreement? And like Kavi said, offered apologies. Why continue with the curse? And earlier there was that one curse is like released, you cannot take it back. Why is it like that? Why has to be a scar or something that is out of control in their way? When as humans, civilized human beings, we can, it's okay, I said it, I cursed you, but let me take it back. Is that an option? Or and when we're dealing with civilized exchanges, and we can find ways to, number one, take it back, and number two, to settle some kind of mutually pleasing agreement instead of, the manager coming in and cutting his arm off just to kind of settle and please the people involved.
I think in this instance, because it's not just like an ordinary like dispute. It's like the Kumaras were prevented from seeing like Lord Hari, so they were like very much like hurt by that. So I think in this instance, they were very like, I don't know if you could say like heartbroken, but they were just very like sad. So I don't think even if they wanted to take the curse back, they could have. Like they were just so much like hurt by like Jai and Vijay not letting them in. But then Krishna says that like he did like, because nothing happens without his will, and he does all of this because he wants like Jai and Vijay to take birth as demons to fight them. But he does it on purpose. Like he lets Jai and Vijay kind of forget for like a moment of like, or he lets them just kind of not let the Kumaras in, so then this entire pastime can happen. But I don't know, because if the Kumaras took back that curse, then this entire pastime wouldn't happen. We wouldn't have Haranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, we wouldn't have all of that. But ideally, in a situation like that, it's when we are so angry or we are so upset, it is important to apologize and to take back like any hard words that we have made, because when we offend devotees, it is not kind. It does hurt Krishna because we are all so dear to him. So yeah.
So there's hope in our own dealings.
In our own dealings. In the material world, yes.
We shouldn't spiritually bypass, like, oh, it's just a Leela.
Yeah. Yes. In the Leela, it's okay. But then in real life, in the material world, try and do your best to not make offenses towards devotees, because it does hurt Krishna. And he doesn't like it. Okay. Blake?
I've kind of wondered this a couple of times hearing this story with the Kumars, and part of me wonders if maybe they like didn't really consider what the repercussions of what they were going to do was how that was going to trickle down, and like the large impact that was going to have. Maybe they were just kind of like, throwing a tantrum, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, screw you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're in my way, like a kid would. And then I don't know if this is correct, but I've thought this. It's like, I wonder, maybe they didn't understand the severity of what was going to happen due to that little tiny outburst of being upset about that situation. Sometimes I wonder too, like, it kind of makes me think like, how if I would make a small, seemingly small outburst of anger to somebody, and then I might not know how that might affect them, and then how that might, and then the butterfly effect. See what I'm saying? So part of me wonders, like, did the Kumars know that this was going to happen because of that? Like all the way down to, the heaven being overthrown and and all that. And if they did, then why would they still do that? Right? I don't know. That's just my mind.
Does anyone have thoughts on that? Or I don't know.
I was just reflecting about this exchange that occurred and remembering how amazing that these are all such nice devotees of the Lord, for Kumar, all of them actually. And they're all wanting to serve Krishna sincerely, and they're all attached to Krishna sincerely, and they trust him. So when Krishna comes in and he says like that to the four Kumars, so, oh, no. He says, I'm going to cut my arm off, to relieve this offense. They can see how much Krishna loves these two, right? And then at the same time, we also know that these curses are temporary. So there's lessons to be learned, but it would be like a punishment of, hey, now you go run around the block right now 5 times, and then you come back. It's like these are temporary situations, and they're not to damn a soul eternally or out of such drudgery and harshness. These are pastimes that they come and then they go, they come back to their positions of being a servant of the Lord. So just to keep this in mind, that the devotees of the Lord are not cruel beings, and they don't have this kind of hatred or nasty exchanges in their minds. They're really trying to serve Krishna the best that they can, and helping in that way.
Actually, I'm giving class on Tuesday, and the title, a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. The title of my class is Everything Happens by the Will of Krishna, or something like that. And the acharyas explain that ordinarily the 4 Kumaras would not get so angry. And also, Jai and Vijay were just, like you said, a misunderstanding. But it was actually the will of Krishna, because Krishna desired to fight. And no one can fight with Krishna. So, and in the spiritual world, you can't fight because everybody's dovetailed in Krishna's service. So he has to come to the material world. The Acharyas explain the fighting propensity is in us because it's in God. And so Krishna actually desired to fight. And the sages, the 4 Kumaras, Jai and Vijay had the choice of whether to take 7 verses Brahmins or 3 verses demons. And they decided to take the 3 verses demons so they would get back to the spiritual world faster. But it was all a pastime. Like I said, the Kumaras would normally never get so angry, nor would Jai and Vijay, prevent. They were just saying, well, these are just little children, yeah. So it was all the will of Krishna. It's pastime, like you were saying.
Hi. Did you want to say something, Narada? Kali, but
I don't think everybody has the ability to curse. The people that are quickly to curse you, don't have the ability to curse. And the people who have the ability, I could be wrong, have the ability to curse, won't quickly curse you. But if they do curse you, you're cursed.
You're toast.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think apologies. Most people, I curse. Like the sages curse different individuals. I think they were like they have the ability to because they're patient. They're not just cursing every person passing them. And some people do try to curse every person that passes them. They don't have the ability.
I think because like aren't really like brahmanas like at that level anymore in the material world, so it is impossible to curse someone like to this kind of extent. So even if you like are angry towards someone, it is important to the person who made the offense to make amends and to apologize, because even though you may not be like cursed, it's still it's not good to make an offense to someone. I think as we were talking last week, was it or no, yesterday in Shamala's class about guilt and regret. If we make an offense to someone, we carry that guilt or that regret with us for a while, and it's not a good feeling. So either to us and to Krishna. So yeah. Narada.
My point is kind of been addressed, so maybe my point was addressed.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Siami. There might be not that many qualified. There's a qualified brahmana and a chaste lady. A chaste lady can be also a qualified brahmana, so which doubles the power. They can bless and they can curse with full efficiency. And although we might think, oh, there's not that many around, we do affect each other, not just with things we say, but also with our thoughts. Because thought is like a prayer. And be careful what you wish for, right? They say. So we do affect each other, consciously and subconsciously. If we are each other's well-wisher, that will send certain support system. And if we are not, if we're thinking ill of each other, that creates a very different environment. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that statement that curses are or not really something to worry about. We should worry about what we put out with our thoughts, mind, and then especially action. But it starts on a subtle level. And we should worry about what environment we are in. Are we surrounded with well-wishers or somebody who's always down on us with their thoughts, words, and action?
And
Important.
even if we may be around devotees, it doesn't always guarantee that like they have good intentions, because we all are on like different paths and we all may have like different things we're going through. So it's important to be around the right association, like have people who are your well-wishers, because they can help uplift you. Whereas even if you're around devotees who are very like fanatic and strict, they can really like hinder your faith as well. So I've experienced both of that, and yeah, association is very important. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else with anything to say, Kalindi?
I just wanted to put, just to add in addition to what he was saying about her. So this, what he was saying is correct. There is curses that people can do, especially if they have some potency to them. But it also, there's a price to be paid. So just like we do something, there's a karmic reaction, there's always a heavy price. So there's a fair warning out there for those that think that might be a good idea.
They come back to hunt you.
Okay. Any book?
one of those last things just got me thinking about what purity is, like what it means, right? Like if we're gonna be pure of heart, and I was thinking that it has a lot to do with our intentions. Like, you know, of course, like because I think about we have our mind and our words, our actions, but before even our thoughts is our intentions, I think. So like my thoughts are happening in some way because of my intentions. And so if I want to have a pure speech, pure actions, pure mind, I need to have first purify my intentions. And so if I have intentions to curse people, I don't think that's pure at all. You see what I'm saying? I think that's not a good intention to have. So defining what is a good intention, and like I think a lot of people here agree that serving each other and trying to please Krishna, I guess it would be considered a pure intention. And then things that are like that, that want to promote goodness and well-being, and to see the good, like not to see anything, like to want to have anything bad happen would not be pure, in my opinion. So if I'm wrong, someone's going to challenge that. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I was just in this case, I'm not sure how that went. Well, it's a lila, but I remember that usually curses of sages would come with a blessing as well. So I think that would answer a little bit of probably of Blake's thing, that yes, it's a lila, but also like it's not like they have this resentment like devotees when they curse, like, yeah, I hope you really like suffer now. But it's more like, yeah, I mean, it was your fault. And well, I usually see also like when you have like this, you have to go like through pain or stuff, you're also like kind of purifying and have like this time to reflect on what you did. And then at the end you have like a boon or a blessing, like the kuberas, is it? They were cursed to be like trees, but then they were liberated by Krishna, so they had a prize. Yeah.
That's all I have to say. So, anyone else? No? Okay. It was made, right? Your point was made?
Yeah, my point
Addressed?
was made. I was just speculating on something too, but I decided I should stay.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.